महामहिम राष्ट्रपति श्री रामनाथ कोविंद जी, गुजरात का राज्यपाल आचार्य देवव्रत जी, लोकसभा का अध्यक्ष श्री ओम बिरला जी, गुजरात का माननीय मुख्यमंत्री श्री विजय रूपानी जी, केंद्र सरकार में संसदीय कार्य प्रणाली का विभाग का मंत्री श्री प्रहलाद जोशी जी और गुजरात विधानसभा का अध्यक्ष श्री राजेंद्र त्रिवेदी जी और राज्यसभा में मेरा साथी डिप्टी चेयरमैन श्री हरिवंश जी और लोकसभा में कांग्रेस पक्ष का नेता श्री अधीर रंजन चौधरी जी और देश भर से आए हुए सभी सभाध्यक्ष, विधानसभा और विधान परिषद और सचिव और मित्रों, भाइयों बहनों, मैं सचमुच में इस कार्यक्रम में भाग लेते हुए विशेष आनंद महसूस कर रहा हूँ। कारण एक विषय, दूसरा जगह स्थान ऐसा है। This conference is very timely, though times are not good because of COVID. There are some problems, but the subject that is chosen by the speaker is really very timely, very useful. Second, the place that has been chosen is also very good, very impressive, very inspiring. आप लोगों ने देखा हो, you might have seen the statue, the tallest statue in the world of the tallest reader. And it's very beautiful, at the same time dutiful. Beauty and duty combined together, you can make the country mighty. That should be our purpose of all the people in public life. As I said, I am very delighted to be associated with this distinguished assembly of the presiding officers of its 80th edition. I prefer to call presiding officers the high priests of temples of democracy. High priests of the temples of democracy. You are mandated with upholding sanctity of the sanctum sanctorium of these temples. This has to be kept in mind by everyone. We consider our state to be in its best state when each of the three organs of the state perform to the best of its potential in the domain specified in each one of them, in pursuit of the mandate defined and in the manner prescribed in the Constitution. Our Constitution demarcated very clear domains of each of these three organs in the lines of separation of powers, though not in a very formalistic manner. The theory of separation of powers by Montesquieu in 1748 had its origin in his genius concerned to avoid autocracy and tyranny if the legislative, executive and judicial powers were to be concentrated in one organ or one individual. That is the spirit. Still, the legislative and executive functions continued to be in the same hands till the middle of 19th century. Ever since separate domains came into being, it has been a saga of frictions and tensions. The case of India since independence is no exception. So, it is appropriate for us to take stock of the harmonious working of the three organs. Harmony lies in each organ doing its job without interfering into the domain of others. This has to be kept in mind by all the three organs. This warrants a spirit of mutual respect, appreciation and cooperation, responsibility and restraint. Unfortunately, there have been several instances of crossing the boundaries. We are familiar with the excess of executive in disregard of their accountability to the legislature on certain occasions. There have been cases when rules framed under the delegated subordinate legislation violated the provisions of the original legislation by the Parliament. Violation of rights and liberties of citizens by the executive. At times, it is too visible to comfort. At times, the legislature too has tended to cross the line. The 39th Constitutional Amendment, placing the election of the President and Vice President and Prime Minister beyond the scope of judicial scrutiny in the circumstance in 1975, is one such instance. There have been quite a few judicial pronouncements that gave a distinct impression of an overreach. These actions have resulted in an unavoidable blurring of the contours demarcated by the Constitution. They have led to the question as how these three organs of the state should respect the jurisdictional sanctity enshrined in the Constitution instead of arrogating themselves a sense of supremacy. The moot question is, does our Constitution envisage any of the three to be supreme? Who is supreme? Sometimes discussion is raised. As early as in 1955, Ram Javaya versus the state of Punjab case, the Supreme Court held, quote, our Constitution does not contemplate assumption by one organ or part of the state of functions that essentially belong to another. By this, it is very logical to conclude that even the principle of first among the equals does not apply to any of the three organs, first among the equals. In the case of P. Ramachandra Rao versus State of Karnataka in 2002, the Apex Court observed the Supreme Court does not consider itself an imperium in imperio, an empire into an empire, or would function as a despotic branch of the state. Former Chief Justice of India, Dr. A. S. Anand, held, quote, I am saying that judiciary is the guardian of the Constitution. It is not implied that legislature and executive are not equally to guard the Constitution. For the progress of the nation, however, it is imperative that all the three wings of the state function in complete harmony. This is the judicial pronouncement of the Supreme Court of India. Everybody should remember that. The quest for harmony is the theme of deliberation at this August Assembly. I am very happy about this theme. This quest is not new for all of us in India. Many centuries ago, the Indian sages hoped for a harmonious coexistence. Sages, rishis. In the Rig Veda, they had said, Samaniva akuti, Samana hrudayaniva, Samanam astuvamano, Yatavah susahasati. This is said in Rig Veda. Let us be driven by a common goal, united by a common commitment, and inspired by ennobling thoughts that will ensure we work together with harmony and in a cheerful environment. Three of us. Each organ has that overreaching goals that has the larger public interest. In view, the foundation for a synergetic function will be laid. That spirit will have to be constantly protected, nurtured with mutual respect and a high sense of responsibility. Since independence, the Supreme Court and High Courts have delivered several far-reaching verdicts in furtherance of socio-economic objectives besides making correctional interventions. But occasionally, concerns have been raised to whether they are entering the domains of the legislative and the executive wings. There have been debates as to whether some issues should have been more legitimately left to the other organs of the government. For example, Deepavali fireworks, cess on registration and movement of vehicles, from the national capital region through Delhi, banning the use of vehicles of certain make after 10 or 15 years, monitoring the police investigation, denying the executive any role in the appointment of judges by instituting collegium, which is said to be an extra constitutional body. This is also the view held by many of the jurists. Invalidating the National Judicial Accountability Commission Act, seeking to ensure transparency and accountability are being cited as instances of judicial overreach. So these has to be kept in mind by all the concerned. So there are some concerns about the harmony in the working of three organs of the state. Our constitution provides for checks and balances to ensure playing by the rules and harmony among the three organs of the state. It is a settled position that constitution is supreme. And none of these three organs, neither the legislature nor the executive or the judiciary. Constitution is supreme. This has to be kept in mind. Since Mahamahim Rashtrapati ji would throw more light on these issues, I would like to turn to the issues concerning the presiding officers and the legislators. The Greek philosopher Socrates said the business of legislature is serious in nature. As they discuss the ways we ought to live, legislatures are the cornerstones of democracy, as they provide the basis for the actions of the executive and the judiciary. Judicial review, declared as one of the basic features of our constitution, imposes certain restrictions on the legislature. Lawmakers have the liberty of defending their territory even by nullifying judicial decisions if so warranted. Given the importance of legislature, the presiding officers have a major role to play in furthering the cause of the parliamentary democracy. Over the years, the battle of perception has tilted against the legislature and its members. The frequent disruptions, conduct of legislators within and outside the chambers, raising number of legislators with criminal background, raising money power in elections, flaunting of power as legislators are some of the reasons for this negative perception. Character, caliber, conduct used to guide, but now caste, community and cash are trying to encroach upon that sacred duty. So all these things, people are agitated and they want to see that people with character, caliber, capacity and conduct come to legislature. They want to see that the legislators behave in such a dignified and decent manner, maintain the decorum of the institution. They are being elected. On the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of our independence, 1997, please note that all the legislators across the country, including parliamentarians, note this. Both the House of Parliament, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, have unanimously adopted resolutions asserting, among other things, that question hour should not be disrupted. Members should not rush into the well of the House, etc. This is not what I am saying. Of course, I agree. But it was the decision of both the House of Parliament where they have taken a solemn pledge. But this is followed more in violation. Citing frequent disruption of the question hour, it was shifted from 11 a.m. to 12 noon in 2014 in the Rajya Sabha. During 2010-14, only 32.39% of the question hour time was made use of, while 67.61% of the valuable question hour time was lost due to disruptions and forced adjournment. Not this particular regime, either this tenure or earlier tenure. But after question hour was shifted, only 26.25% of the question time was availed in the next year, 2015. For the 5-year period, 2015 and 19, only 41.39% of the question hour time was made use of. Through this is an effective instrument to take on the government to task by asking important questions for oral replies from the government, which is an important part of the oversight function of the House. In fact, over the last 30 years, utilization of question hour time has been declining. This is a matter of serious concern. This has to be kept in mind by all political parties. Blaming this party, that party is not going to solve the problem. Political parties should really think seriously, ponder over the issue to see that their members conduct themselves in an ideal manner in the House and take full advantage of the avenues that are available through rules and regulations of the Parliament. This has to be kept in mind. It is high time that the political parties do introspection and see to it that their legislators conduct themselves in a dignified manner. My dear friends, the Conference of Presiding Officers have been regularly taking stock of the functioning of the legislature in the country and has been making recommendations for improving their functioning. Based on the discussion of the Bhubaneswar Conference of the Presiding Officers in 1978 and adoption in the Lucknow Conference in 1985, the system of department-related parliamentary standing committees was introduced in 1993. These committees of parliament, now numbering 24, they are doing a commendable job by undertaking detailed scrutiny of the bills referred to them, the demands for grants and other issues chosen by the committees. I have been regularly reviewing the performance of the 8 committees of the Rajya Sabha, and they have shown substantial improvement during the last 3 years in terms of attendance, average duration of meetings, etc. I urge upon the presiding officers to take necessary measures to make overall operationals of such committees in all the legislatures across the country. In the Rig Veda, Sabha Adhyaksha is required to be a person well versed in the matters of state, experienced, astute, not a novice in politics, impartial, learned and virtuous, benevolent and mature by advanced age and learning. This is what is said in Rig Veda, Sabha Adhyaksha. I urge upon all the people to remember this and all of us to make good use of these attributes to improve the functioning of respective legislatures as the high priests of democracy, aided and assisted by the rules, conventions, earlier rulings of the chair and your own wisdom and experience. You shall do everything required to uphold the sanctity of the temples of democracy. I am particularly distressed over the state of affairs in several state legislatures. Decency, dignity, decorum, 3 Ds of the temples of democracy will be upheld only through adherence to the 3 Ds, that is, debate, discuss and decide, not going or resorting to the 4th D, that is disruption. Unabated disruption seriously erode the standing of the legislature. Lack of harmony in the functioning will seriously erode legitimacy of all the 3 organs of the state. I appreciate the Lok Sabha Speaker, Sri Om Birla Ji, for his personal interest in organizing this important conference, that too at the Statue of Unity of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and choosing a very relevant theme. The Honorable Rashtrapati Ji, who is attending this program, first actual program. Earlier it was virtual. Actual or virtual mein bahut farak hai. You will be able to enjoy more if it is actual. But in actual, the factual situation is there are problems. Maintaining distance, wearing the mask, and following the other rules that have been prescribed by the government and the system. We have to be very, very careful during our deliberations, maintaining self-restraint of maintaining the distance and also wearing the mask and also taking care of our own health. As it was said, the Vice President, the President, Vice President, Speaker, all coming together and the Prime Minister joining later adds to the importance of this conference. So I hope that our debates and discussions during these 2 days will be more meaningful and every one of us will take necessary steps to see that these things are followed. Passing a resolution is very easy after some consultation. But following the resolution, you need resolution by all concerned. That has to be carefully observed I once again say the three organs of Constitution, powers, functions are clearly defined. The legislature has a duty and responsibility and domain to pass legislations. The executive is mandated to implement the legislations made by parliament or assemblies. And the judiciary is mandated to interpret the constitution and also to see whether a law passed by the legislature is legal or not. The action of the government is legal or not. Is it in consonance with the constitutional spirit? That has to be seen by the judiciary. Interpretation of the constitution and also legality of the legislation and actions of the government, legality of the actions can be seen and should be seen and decided by the judiciary. But other administrative actions has to be left to the administration, because elected people are accountable to the people and they have to go back to the people and seek their mandate. So let each one of us understand our duties and responsibilities and perform our dharma to the best of our ability. That is what is being expected of the people. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Namaskar. Jai Hind.